Chapter 25, Sightseeing. Kyon's first-person point of view. The city of Sharman sprawled like a gleaming labyrinth of white stone streets, thrumming with life. Every corner bustled with purpose, vendors shouting, students laughing, cars honking, and the distant chiming of clock towers that punctuated the city's rhythm. As Sia and I navigated through the crowd, I couldn't help but notice the curious stares. Being dark-skinned in this city was like wearing a neon sign on my forehead. Some looked away quickly, embarrassed to be caught staring, while others whispered behind cupped hands, their expressions ranging from fascination to suspicion. "You get used to it," Sia said, her voice pulling me back to the present. "Do you?" I asked, glancing at her. She shrugged, her auburn hair catching the sunlight. "Maybe not entirely. But it stops bothering you after a while." I wasn't so sure. Back in Zaria, I'd been surrounded by people like me. Here, in the heart of Catalonia, I was constantly aware of how much I stood out. Peter had bailed on the trip at the last minute. "Three's a crowd," he'd said with a sly grin. I knew exactly what he was doing, playing matchmaker. He wasn't subtle about it either. I sighed and glanced at Sia as we wove through the throng. "Peter's convinced we're a thing," I said. "Oh?" She raised an eyebrow, her lips curving into a teasing smile. "And what do you think about that?" My face warmed. "I think he should mind his own business," I muttered, trying not to trip over my own feet. Her laugh rang out, light and melodic. "You're so easy to tease, Kyon." The business district rose ahead of us like a patchwork quilt of neon signs, sleek storefronts, and bustling crowds. The air was a sensory overload, the greasy aroma of street food mingling with sharp perfume, the chatter of pedestrians competing with the hum of engines. Every sound and smell hit me like a wave. My heightened senses had become sharper in recent days, and being surrounded by so many people made it nearly impossible to focus. I could hear the faint thrum of heartbeats, smell the metallic tang of blood from someone's paper cut, and sense the shifting rhythms of movement all around me. "You okay?" Sia asked, her green eyes studying me. "Yeah," I lied, my hands clenching involuntarily. She didn't look convinced, but she let it go. We reached a small electronics shop sandwiched between a cafe and a boutique. The window display showcased sleek, state-of-the-art phones, their unblemished screens glowing like tiny suns. Sia pointed to a model by the entrance. "That one looks solid. What do you think?" I hesitated, pulling my battered phone from my pocket. The screen was a cracked mosaic, barely holding itself together. "This one still works," I said defensively. "Barely," she countered, crossing her arms. "It's expensive," I argued. "I'm on a scholarship. My stipend doesn't exactly leave room for luxuries. Most of it goes back home to my aunt in Zaria." Her expression softened. "You take care of your family. That's admirable, but you also need to take care of yourself." Before I could respond, a cheerful voice interrupted. "Whoa, is that an ancient relic you're holding?" We turned to see a lanky young man with a mop of messy blonde hair and a lopsided grin. He wore a pair of thick glasses that seemed too large for his face, and his name tag read Beck. "Hey, no judgment," Beck continued, gesturing to my phone. "I just didn't know people still used phones from the Stone Age." I scowled, and Sia smothered a laugh. "It's functional," I said tersely. "Barely," Sia repeated, grinning. Beck leaned on the counter, his grin widening. "Look, I get it. Sentimental value and all. But if you're ready to upgrade to something from, this decade, I've got deals." "I'm good," I replied, pocketing my phone. "Don't mind him," Sia said, stepping in. "He's just stubborn. What do you recommend?" Beck launched into a spiel about the latest models, his enthusiasm contagious. Despite myself, I found it hard not to listen as he rattled off specs and features, waving his hands animatedly. After some convincing, Beck handed me a sleek new phone to test. The screen lit up with vivid clarity, and the smooth interface was worlds apart from my old, glitchy device. "See?" Beck said. "It's like stepping into the future." I handed it back, shaking my head. "Thanks, but I can't afford it." Sia sighed. "Kyon, just let us help. Peter and I can pitch in." "No way," I said firmly. "I can't let you do that." "You didn't ask. We're offering," she said, her tone leaving no room for argument. Beck raised an eyebrow. "Sounds like you've got good friends." I groaned. Why does everyone gang up on me? Because we care, Sia said with a grin. Now, are you going to accept our help, or do I have to drag you back here? Before I could respond, Beck chimed in. Tell you what. I'll knock off 10% if it means you'll stop fighting about it. Sia gave me a triumphant look. See? Even Beck agrees. I sighed, defeated. Fine. But only if you promise not to make a big deal out of it. Deal, she said, her smile radiant. As we left the store, I caught Sia giving Beck a thumbs up behind my back. The whole interaction left me feeling equal parts exasperated and grateful. You're too stubborn for your own good, she said as we walked down the street. Says the girl who bullied me into buying a new phone, I shot back. Her laughter echoed down the cobblestone path, drawing a few curious glances from passers-by. Later, as we sat by a fountain in the plaza, the city seemed to breathe around us. The water sparkled in the late afternoon light, and the sound of it splashing was oddly soothing. Thanks, I said quietly. For what? Sia asked, tilting her head. For being there. For not making me feel like a freak. She smiled, her expression soft. You're not a freak, Kyon. You're just you. And that's enough. Her words stayed with me as we made our way back to campus. Despite the weight of everything I carried, my identity, my powers, my place in this strange city, there was comfort in knowing I didn't have to face it alone. But as we reached the gates, I froze. A faint heartbeat lingered just beyond the shadows. Too steady, too deliberate. Kyon? Sia asked, noticing my sudden stillness. Nothing, I said, forcing a smile. Just thought I saw something. She didn't press, but as we walked into the campus, I couldn't shake the feeling that we weren't as alone as we thought.